That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Commissioner Cooper, and happy holidays to you and yours. We are happy for a happy holiday. I think I screwed that up. But anyway, tonight, we're going to help you bring home some fantasy presents and get you to that fantasy championship. We're going to break down all of the big week this week, including the Saturday games. We're also going to get a visit from our own Andrew LeDuc's going to do our medical tent today. And we're also going to, of course, LeDuc. It's just LeDuc show tonight. He's going to finish it up with a Christmas sophistication station. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get your hot cocoa. It's time for TSS Fantasy.
Yeah! Here we go!
It's time for TSS Fantasy.
It is Commissioner Cooper.
I could do a whole 49ers show right now.
Ready to rock out with my gavel out.
Oh yeah, baby!
Don't sleep on my Patriots,
And we're ready for football. Is that
Joe Burrow with his wrist? I'm curious.
I find you guilty of all charges.
Although you assisted force in this
and he's developed some really great talent.
DJ Chuck Bass.
This guy has been doing it ever since coming off.
I hope you like the way I pimped
He's
you out.
4 targets in all 3 of the plays.
Game for the touchdown this year.
You know, the great thing about being a football player is you don't have to take a shower to go to work.
There it is.
There it is, indeed. Don't got to take a shower for Christmas, neither. That's what I'm talking about. Happy holidays, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys checking in with us tonight. Like I said, we got a great show for you tonight and full of Christmas surprises, as always. Let's get things started, get the intro started. Justin Jesus Herrera, welcome into the studio, sir. And you're on mute.
Merry Christmas to everybody. As always, happy holidays. The Mute Monster will never not strike. It don't care if it's the holidays. The Mute Monster's got Justin's number. But I just wanted to show you guys the Herrera family stockings. And hopefully in 2025, you're going to be seeing 5. Just a little message for everybody out there. If you're watching, if you've been following the show, that is right. We are officially going to be adding a little baby in 2025. It's just something I wanted to share today.
Congratulations. That's actually my bad. I didn't do an announcement for you when you told us, so that's my fault. The stockings are hung by the wooden picture, whatever that is, with care. That's what we'll say. Let's go. Welcome in, Mr. Sophistication himself, Andrew LeDuc. Welcome into the studio.
Opening thought with my glass of wine tonight is I can't wait to see on Sunday who Gerard Mayo blames next, other than himself, for the Patriots.
Indeed. There'll be plenty of blame to go around, that's for sure. All right, let's get things started. Of course, pay the bills real quick. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a huge solid, hit subscribe, give us a like, throw your fantasy questions in there. Little things stopping you from doing it, big things popping for us when you do, so we always appreciate that. Also, if you're looking for some championship bling for your fantasy champion, look no further than Pro-Am belts. And as always, if you're out of the playoffs or just want to play some daily fantasy, go to Underdog Fantasy. You can use our promo codes TSS. Pretty easy to remember. We'll double your deposit up to $100. Can't get no better than that. And lots of great daily fantasy plays. And you can forget about football for a little bit. Baseball, hockey, whatever the hell, basketball, whatever the hell season it is. Underdog Fantasy's got you covered. All right, guys. Well, let's start out. We had a little bit of action last night, so we can start out with some news. All right. Well, before we get into news, we got some questions already. Gotta love that right off the rip. That's what I'm talking about. Merry Christmas. IP14. Happy holidays. He wants to know, Justin, we'll go to you on this one. Do you start Scary Terry or Drake London in PPR?
You know, I this is a really tough question because a part of me is like, you're playing the Giants with a new rookie quarterback. So there's like a little bit of flair there that you want to throw him out there and be like, all right, this guy's got to be like targeting this guy. And the Giants just absolutely gave it up to the Ravens, right? Like offense just kind of happens against the Giants defense. But on the other side, I'm realistic. I'm like, Jaden Daniels has been a monster. Terry McLaurin's been a monster with Jaden Daniels, and this is going to be a really good game. I feel it in my bones. I think the Commanders are coming to actually make an impact in this game. I think I'm going to say it. I think I'm going to stick with Scary Terry in this one. I think Scary Terry's due for another really good game, just like he had last week, and I think he's going to be one of the driving factors in keeping them in this game against the Eagles.
Yeah, you want to go with the guy who got you there, who's been consistent. I know that you want to get cute. So I got cute one last week and it paid out or played, excuse me, it played. God, I can't even speak tonight. It worked well for me when I threw in Aaron Rodgers instead of Pat Mahomes. However, that was not the norm. I usually just go with the guys who got me there. I know Terry Scary got you there, my brother. So I think, I can see you leaning. I can see, though, I think he put it, he said, I saw Mooney and there is a lack of chemistry with Penix and the receivers. All that it's something Justin's been clamoring for every Friday night about Penix getting in over Cousins. So we'll see. Yeah, lack of chemistry. Indeed, you do got the new guy in. So I think I'd go Terry. It's a little scary, no pun intended, because the Eagles D is really good.
Yes,
but remember, and he did not play well the last time. I think he had like 2 receptions the last time they played. However, Jaden Daniels a little banged up going into that game. Not so banged up in this one. So, like you said, I think this will be a more interesting game going down. All right, we got a guy who's speaking to my own heart. The Lonely Stoner, bro. You ain't never lonely, baby. We got you. You're not lonely here at TSS. So he's got first seed, semi, got PPR. So you're gonna start 2 of these, LeDuc. Spears,
Yes.
You can read Kendre Miller, but I'll read for our podcast audience. Kendre Miller, Patrick Taylor, or Brian Robinson Jr.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say Patrick Taylor just because I think that should be actually a pretty decent game considering the 2 teams that have underperformed in that, and we see how San Francisco uses any running back available. So I like Patrick Taylor, and I am gonna stick with Brian Robinson Jr. just because when they get within that 5-yard line, they give them the ball and he gets you a touchdown. So I'm gonna stick with those 2. Kendre Miller is an interesting start with Kamara out this week, but that Saints offense is terrible now. So it's not much to say there. And the same thing with the Titans offense. I just don't trust Spears even if Pollard is out. So give me Taylor and B-Rob there. And then same thing. I'm going to agree with Justin. I know it's a different person, but I'm still starting McLaurin between J-Mo or McLaurin. So McLaurin there. For the tight ends, yes, I'm just going to do them all. For the tight ends, Bretton Strange over Tucker Kraft, because now that they have pretty much all the healthy receivers that they want in Green Bay, Kraft just has been very minimal at most. So Bretton Strange just gives you bigger upside, and it's playoff time, so you got to shoot for the ceiling. And I think that's all.
Yeah, so I understand why the Lonely Stoner is asking these questions here, because we're going to talk about these matchups in a minute. But Patrick Taylor, toot my own horn here. Dolphins have been very good against running backs, and we know the Eagles are deadly against running backs. So those are tough matchups where you see Kendre Miller and Tajay Spears have much easier matchups. But as Andrew LeDuc astutely pointed out, that was the word I was looking for. You want to go with those guys that you know are solid. Don't want to mess around too much and get too cute, because when you got those 2 main guys sitting on your bench and they end up outscoring the guys you got cute with, trust me, when you go home to the playoffs, you'll be thinking about all year long. So that I agree with LeDuc. I go with those guys. I understand it's a tough matchup, but you got to play the big money players when it's big money time. IP's got one more, and thank you, Lonely Stoner. We always appreciate your question. Appreciate that. IP 14 got one more, Justin. Then would you do Bucky Irving, DJ Moore, and PPR, assuming the flex? So he's already starting Baker and Evans.
So another one, IP, man. I like that you're a Bucks fan because that's paid off for you this year. But I'll tell you this, man. I still think, even though I'm a big DJ Moore fan, I've been watching a lot of his tape, and I've been watching a lot of the Bears tape after the 49ers lost. This guy looks really fucking discouraged, man. He does not look like he wants to be on the field. If you saw that 2-point conversion, he walked out like, what the fuck are we doing here? After he dropped the pass. I think Caleb Williams right now, his best bet is Keenan Allen, and his best bet is maybe even developing Rome Odunze. Something tells me there's something a little bit more different with DJ Moore's situation right now. That being said, Bucky Irving on the other side is happy as can be. If you just saw his he just had a little fucking press conference where he was talking with Baker, and they're just kidding back and forth. I like what this guy's bringing. I think he's the workhorse as far as the running back goes, and I think he's the guy that you want in your lineup this week, especially against the Dallas Cowboys defense.
That was exactly where I was going to hammer your point on, is that don't forget they're playing the Dallas Cowboys that are looser than my girlfriends in high school. So trust, go with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ladies, if you're watching, my bad. Which I doubt you are. I doubt you are. All right, IP14. Thank you, my friend. Happy holidays to you and yours, and Lonely Stoner. We appreciate your questions as always. All right, Broncos at Chargers, or excuse me, the other way around. Broncos at Chargers. I said it right. 34-27, and almost a game that helped no one, as they like to say, because there was some good fantasy points scored, but not by the guys that you would think. Bo Nix had a good night last night, 263 with 2 TDs. Justin Herbert, 284, 2 TDs. He did have the pick last night. And how about it, bro? If you got Gus Edwards on that playoff roster right now, man, you smiling from ear to ear, because you were not expecting that night last night from the good old the Gus Buzz. 68 yards. Not great, but 2 TDs. Ooh, we did get a reception in there for 3 yards. Also, Justin Herbert ran for 28 yards as well. So feeling good there. Ladd McConkey, 6 receptions for 87 yards. And then, like I said, Hassan Haskins gets the TD. Darius Davis gets a TD. It was just kind of all over the place. Bo Nix last night, like I mentioned, he also rushed for 25 yards. Pretty great decent, I shouldn't say great, but there is good plays by the quarterbacks last night. Estimate, because Sean Payton does not care who starts at running back, 48 yards in that TD last night. And really, when you look at the receivers, it was Marvin Mims. Cortland Sutton, 5 for 50, so he got you 10 points. And how about Javonte Williams? Didn't rush the ball much, but got 7 receptions. He was a leading catcher out of the backfield but only 29 yards. So at least you got something in PPR if you somehow had to go for him. But the ball was completely spread around for the Broncos as well. So like I said, one of those games that, if you start any of these guys, man, you should be on the show because you're killing it. So, Justin, your thoughts on the game last night?
What was that? That fair catch field goal was kind of cool.
That was cool, actually.
Yep.
I had the volume down. I didn't see what prompted them to do that, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a cool little addition, or like a insight in the rules. We obviously hadn't seen that, and I think it was like 40-some years, 50-some years. But otherwise, I mean, you kind of said it best. I mean, this is one of those games where you wanted to play the quarterback and nobody else, because who the hell else was playing in their playoffs? Devon Vele and Darius Davis and Hassan Haskins. Who the fuck was saying Hassan Haskins over Kamani Vidal? That's who I want to know who that guy is, because that guy's insightful. Nobody. I want to subscribe to him on Facebook and freaking YouTube and everything, because he knows. He knows.
That's an 18-team league right there.
Right. Jeez. I think the only thing I felt disappointed is I didn't start Bo Nix, because I got a little cocky and I thought to myself, you know what? I think it's going to be a defensive struggle, and, maybe Aaron Rodgers is going to do me better. But other than that, I was not disappointed with this game. It was an old school mentality game. You felt like these two coaches are just really good coaches and they know what they're doing. And instead of, being the high value guys, you got a lot of the low value guys that didn't really help your fantasy team. But it was a fun game. It
was a fun football game to watch. But if you were counting on any fantasy, which, by the way, I had so many questions on social media, including my son, including our boy Rob, that's always asking questions on offline. Broncos or Chargers defense. I told my son, he would not listen. get away from this game. I kept telling him, this is not the game you want to start any of these defenses. I just wasn't trusting it. And man, I sent them both like a little emoji with the eyes looking like, I told you. There's plenty other, we'll talk about in a minute, but plenty other defenses you can stream this week that you wouldn't think you could normally, but they're out there. All right, LeDuc, what were your thoughts on last night?
Yeah, so I also love the free kick. My biggest thought is someone who owns Ladd McConkey, Justin, and I know you do because we're going up against each other in the playoffs this week in our one league. Are you satisfied with the 11 points in a half PPR league that he got you? Because when watching the game, it looked like he should have had a lot more because he looked electric. He was catching the ball. He was targeted. It seemed like he should have more. But then when you look at the box score, 11 points felt disappointing if I was his owner. Do you feel satisfied with the McConkey 11-point game?
You know what, LeDuc? Yeah, you know what, LeDuc? I am satisfied because I know my guys are going to make it up. I know my dudes are going to make it up.
That was a subtle poke if I ever saw one.
Yeah. Real subtle.
But I'll tell you what, being a Ladd McConkey guy, I am not satisfied with his usage. I want these guys to go fucking full tilt boogie into this guy because he's such an electric route runner.
He is electric route runner for sure.
LeDuc, you put it best. Like, when you're talking, he did look. Every time I saw him with the ball, it's like, oh snap. And I thought he was going to bust one. So you're 100%. I was surprised that they didn't utilize him a little bit more. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. All right. Well, we don't have Brian in tonight, but that's okay because LeDuc's going to bust out his white coat tonight, and he's going to take us inside the medical tent.
A.J. Dillon just went into the medical tent a moment ago.
Got my PhD in nothing. I was an art major. Anyways, let's get into the injuries because there were some very big injuries that are going to affect teams that got themselves into the playoffs on the backs of some of these guys. So a lot of them we already know. David Montgomery out, season ending out, although it looks like he might avoid surgery. We'll see. I think he's done, though. So I would say fantasy-wise, he's done anyways. Kamara out. Honestly, with the way the Saints are right now, he's also probably done for the season. I don't see any reason for him to rush back. Nick Chubb out as well. What that means, though, Jerome Ford is in. Now, once again, I'm not a doctor here. I don't know exactly all the ins and outs of what this means for Nick Chubb, but it's also, once again, feels like Nick Chubb is done for the season. So Jerome Ford, in my opinion, has always been the more talented running back this year over Chubb. It's felt like they did Chubb a solid, giving him the usage that they gave him since he's come back. They almost tried to force him to get some touchdowns to help the guy out, even in situations where they probably shouldn't have run the ball. But that's the way it was. But now that Chubb is gone and out of the way, we saw what happened with Jerome Ford. He got involved in the pass game. He's a hard runner. Get Jerome Ford in your lineups this week because he could be the difference maker for you, and he could be someone that was sitting on waivers or sitting on your bench that you can just easily slot in. So I love Jerome Ford moving forward with Nick Chubb out. Other guys that are in, we just talked about Bucky Irving a little bit ago. He is officially in off the injury report, which is a great sign on a Friday instead of having to wait till Sunday. So he should be a full go in that matchup. So definitely, yes, I agree, Justin, get Irving in. Neighbors is also in. Doesn't necessarily mean I like his upside for this matchup or for this week or for the playoffs in general for fantasy, but he's in. You might be in a situation where you have to play him, although I personally think the wide receiver position is deep enough to where I'm not going to feel forced to start Neighbors if I have Neighbors. A couple other guys that we touched on. Tua is a good to go for Sunday with a hip injury, so he's off the injury report, but Tyreek Hill is a big question mark here between that wrist and what they're calling personal. But as Justin alluded to, holding out or whatever, he's probably just kind of fed up and done with the season. The hot take, though, maybe not a hot take. I think other people are also saying it. Doesn't really matter this year for your fantasy. He's not who you drafted him as. He only has, I think it was, I forget the stat now, but it's been since like week 4 since he's had over. So he's done nothing for you. He has not equaled the draft. So I'm actually fine. I'd rather Tyreek Hill should sit, make your decision easier because you won't be tempted to start him. You probably shouldn't start him anyways at this point because you're in the playoffs. And like I said, there's enough wide receiver depth I think you have more upside in other places. So stay away from Tyreek Hill no matter what I think at this point, because I think if this personal issue is kind of contract and effort related, it's a big telling sign. We should get to Kendra Miller because, like I said, Alvin Kamara is out. Kendra Miller, the obvious slide in here. Once again, like I said earlier, I don't expect the world out of Kendra Miller. I think he's a talented back. I think he's should on another better offensive team, he would show out a lot more. I just think the Saints season is just done this year, and I don't expect much out of him other than like he's gonna have to get a touchdown to give you any value. Other than that, I just don't think the usage is gonna be there enough. So Kendra Miller, not really the guy for me this week either. And I think as far as injuries go, we'll get more clarity on some guys on Sunday, such as Tyrone Tracy. He's questionable. Isaac Garendo has also already been ruled out, which is why Patrick Taylor is a big add and a big play this week. So we'll have some more clarity on Sunday with some of these guys. Tony Pollard, questionable to play. Watch out for that. Nick Westbrook, Akine, say his name. He will play Sunday. Not that it matters anymore since his touchdown streak ended. He's been garbage. So forget about NWI, whatever you want to call him. It doesn't matter anymore. And Will Levis is also questionable, speaking of the Titans. Do you guys have any injuries questions? Not that I could tell you anything about the actual injuries or the health.
Well, I am a physical therapist, so I could talk about the injuries, but no, I don't think I have anything. Anything, Justin?
No, I'm good. Hey, I'll say this, LeDuc, I will not be taking your advice and sitting Malik Neighbors in our league.
No, thank you. You know what? I think I'm going to be able to sleep a lot better this weekend now, and I think I'm going to be bringing home that belt this year.
I will say, though,
catch those one-handed passes, bro, Odell Beckham style in your dreams.
I will say your Tyreek Hill take, which I normally will start getting the hairs back.
America's
team. I can't even say it.
Say it with your chest, God damn it.
I can't even say it with inflection anymore. I think you're spot on because he's that guy. You're looking at him like, there's no way I can bench Tyreek in the freaking
exactly.
playoffs.
It's too tempting to play him because of the name.
Done nothing. He's had one or two good games, but other than that, he's done nothing.
Honestly, if you're in the playoffs with Tyreek Hill as like your top wide receiver, then you've done some hell of a good job on the waiver wire this year to get yourself to the playoffs. Because with where you drafted him, you shouldn't be there, honestly.
Yeah, you've been watching TSS if you got there with
yes.
Tyreek. All right. All right, let's take a quick break from our friends from NeuroGuard, and we'll be back to break it on down.
Dr. Michael Hutchison has harnessed the latest in neuromuscular dentistry and impact technology to develop a mouthguard that does more than protect. It enhances. NeuroGuard Plus isn't just a mouthguard. By focusing on the jaw's physiological position, it provides an added layer of neuroprotection, significantly reducing the risk of sports-related neurological injuries. All athletes should be using a custom mouthguard designed to their bite position. NeuroGuard Plus was created as a means to maintain your physiological jaw position regardless of your bite. The appliance is designed to optimize your upper-lower jaw relationship to improve your strength, your balance, your oxygen intake, and drastically lower your chance of a concussion. Independent studies have shown that the NeuroGuard Plus will provide you with improvement to both upper and lower body strength. The same improvements were not present with a common mouthguard. Over 6,500 athletes have used the NeuroGuard Plus. Dr. Hutchison is happy to say that the amount of diagnosed concussions is 0.2%. The NeuroGuard Plus offers athletes, coaches, and parents an advantage to keep their players safe on the field. If you or your child actively participates in athletics, they need to be protected from the dangers of repetitive head trauma. Get your NeuroGuard Plus mouthguard today. Click on the link and use code ILPSports for 10% discount on your purchase.
All righty. Well, get your Christmas dancing shoes on because it's time.
Breakdown!
Bring it on down!
Breakdown!
Bring it on down! Bring it on down!
I miss when Fred used to dance when I said breakdown. I don't know what happened to that. I miss it. All right, let's go to this week. And we're going to start with, don't forget now, and give a friendly reminder, everyone, we got Saturday games to talk about this week. So let's start out Texans at Kansas City. Houston against fantasy QBs are 10th, against running backs are 4th, 25th against receivers, and they're 4th against tight ends. KC 12th against QBs, numero uno against running backs, 14th against receivers, 29th against tight ends. Although I should really look at what's been transpiring the last month or so, because I feel like KC's secondary has gone to caca, quite frankly. But, we'll see. All right, LeDuc, we'll start off with you. Give me who you like and don't like on the KC side.
So I don't like Patrick Mahomes. Once again, another guy who did not really help you get to the playoffs. So I don't like that. I know he's been removed from the injury report. So he's supposedly all good to go. Sorry, I got eyes. I watched the way he got bent in half on that injury. There's no way he's 100%, which, granted, to be fair, who is 100% at this point in the year? I understand that. But between the receivers he's thrown to just not really popping off, and Travis Kelce kind of being a shell of himself this year, I just don't see him putting up the points that you need. With that said, also, Isaiah Pacheco, we hoped for so much more with him coming back. I think he's probably going to continue to go up. He's went from 4 points to 5 points, I think it was, his first 2 weeks back. So, sure, I think he's going to get you a floor of probably around like 8 or 9 points, but is that really enough to get you a playoff win? No, it's not. Look, you got to start Travis Kelce. If you got Travis Kelce, there's really not a reason to bench him other than that he hasn't really been Travis Kelce. But with the tight end position, you got to play him. The guy that I'm going to continue to play if I need, for instance, in our league with the network where I've started 3 tight ends all year because we got 2 flexes, a super flex, whatever. Noah Gray, if you got the opportunity to start a second tight end, Noah Gray is getting enough work to make that value hit if you're that far down with that many flexes. But other than that, I'm just not excited much about really anybody on this Kansas. They've been winning games 17, 20, 21 points. Not a lot of points to go around. So I'm not excited about the Kansas City Chiefs. Noah Gray would be my shot in the dark.
And don't forget about the return of Hollywood.
Yes. That's right.
So that could take away a little from maybe Noah Gray or someone else. Who knows? But we'll see how healthy he is. He's been out all season, so we'll see.
Yeah, I gotta see it first.
Yeah, it's tough to throw in Hollywood in a playoff lineup. I
exactly
completely get it. Justin, who you like and don't like on the Houston side?
Well, I think you just gotta stick with the basics with the Houston guys. I do think that this is going to be a nice game for CJ Stroud. I think, like LeDuc said, this secondary has kind of gone missing. It's kind of gone MIA for the past couple of weeks. And I think Stroud's in need of one of those statement games. He really hasn't had it. Even last week where we thought he was going to have one, it really was kind of just a pedestrian, okay game, Yeah, but at the same time, I think Nico Collins is definitely your rock solid. You got to put him in. She showed you. He can do his best Michael or Mike Evans. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. That wasn't 2 yards. It was like 16, but you get the point. He's deadly from everywhere. I'll say Dalton Schultz is definitely somebody who still came back on the radar. And then, Joe Mixon, it's kind of like the Derrick Henry thing where, he really bombed last week, but he's gotten you there the entire time. You just got to have a little faith. And remember, that team just got shredded by Jerome Ford, who came in literally on a second half and put up 34 points. So I think Joe Mixon can definitely do some damage in this game. Outside of that, I'm still not going with Tank Dell. I'm still really not trusting anybody else in that lineup. I think you just got to stick to the basics, stick to the bread and butter guys that got you to where you're at.
So a question that we got from our boy Rob, and I tried to tell him about the Chargers D. I'm sorry, the Broncos D. That's what he wanted to go with last night. I tried to tell him. He didn't want to listen. So now he's very steadfast. Mahomes over Stroud, but I like Stroud. What do you guys think? You say Stroud or Mahomes?
Like Stroud over Mahomes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
what's disappointing is that this game should have been like this basically the shootout, this high scoring, energetic, like just electric game to watch. I still think it's going to be a good game as far as it being close and back and forth, but I think what we're going to see is something more lines, like I said before, like a 21-17 kind of finish. I think it's going to be a lot slower and boring than what this game should be.
Yeah, I totally agree, unfortunately. All right, let's go on to the other Saturday game. The Steelers at the Ravens. Steelers against fantasy QBs are third, 10th against running backs, 13th against receivers, and 18th against tight ends. On the Ravens side, 28th against QBs. They are 8th against running backs, but 31st against receivers and 22nd against tight ends. Justin, who you like and don't like on the Ravens?
So I'm not going to bench Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to bench Derrick Henry just because those are your steadfast guys. I'll tell you what, Derrick Henry disappointed a lot of people, including myself. But you know what? Last week, when my teams had Derrick Henry, they had him on a bye, so I'm okay with it. I'm recovered. But, this is going to be an interesting week. We got Nelson Aguilar gone. Deontay Johnson has been waived. This feels like work with me an Isaiah Likely week. This feels like a likely week. I think, this is a guy who's come through. He came through in the first Steelers game. I think he put up like around 17 points in the first Steelers game. And he comes through in these unlikely moments where you got nothing there, right? When you have that bare minimum. And he is a wide receiver playing the tight end position. Don't get it twisted. He is athletic. He's more athletic than Mark Andrews. He's got more range than Mark Andrews as far as route running goes. He's, I think, going to be the key in this one. And, take it as you may. He's burnt us a lot this year if you're willing to put him in there. But I'll just say this. DFS, Isaiah Likely might be a nice little caveat to your lineups. And then, obviously, throw in Zay Flowers because I think he's got an opportunity for a huge game in this game. And one last guy I'll put out for DFS purposes, that is Devontae Walker. We got to see him a little bit last week. Rashad Bateman might also show up, but he also has a tendency to show up only when the games are absolutely in garbage time. I mean, it's 2 touchdowns last week came out of nowhere, but it's just like, dude, where were you when they needed him against the Pittsburgh Steelers the first time or any other game that was actually meaningful, So I'll just say, stick to your basics again with the Ravens, but little DFS plays, Isaiah Likely. I'm feeling it.
I like it. They just played, I think it was about a month ago, whatever it was. It wasn't that long ago. Derrick Henry, 13 attempts, which is baffling, 65 yards and a touchdown. Isaiah Likely, 4 receptions, 75 yards in that matchup. So I don't think you're far off. The only guy that I would mention for DFS purposes is Justice Hill, and only because he really does catch a lot of the backfield, and he did a decent job last time against the Steelers as well. So just another guy just to throw out there DFS-wise. I certainly wouldn't have him in my playoff lineup, but somebody to think about for DFS. All right, LeDuc, who you like and don't like on the Steelers?
This feels like it's going to be a game. Look, these AFC North games are always, physical, hard-fought games. And I think it's the type of games where you can throw the stats that you mentioned at the start right out the window. I really don't care that the Ravens are top 10 against the run and, bottom 3rd against the QB, whatever. Given what the Steelers have for wide receivers right now, they're throwing the ball to Najee Harris. They're throwing the ball to Jaylen Warren, and they're throwing the ball to Pat Fryermuth. Those are the guys I'm starting. Russell Wilson, I think, is a fine start for me. I know he only put up 7-something points last time against the Steelers a month ago. It's because he had no touchdowns, but he still threw for over 200 yards. He just unfortunately had the 1 interception. But I think this is going to be a lot different. I said it after that first game that these two teams played. It felt like they both held back because this was the game that they knew was going to matter more for their playoff seeding. And later on in the year, I think this is where they pull out the stops. They show some stuff that you're not expecting. That's why I like the Isaiah Likely play from the Ravens side. So give me Russell Wilson and give me the 2 running backs and the tight end. But other than that, the wide receivers, all you'd be looking for is some sort of lucky touchdown because you just don't know who it's going to be between Austin and Williams and Jefferson. Hell, Scotty Miller might even catch one. It's too risky to put any of them in there unless you absolutely have to. Calvin Austin would be your deep threat, go for broke kind of guy.
Yeah, as Justin said earlier, I'm not benching Lamar, but I'm certainly not excited about this matchup. Because listen, the Steelers have owned the Ravens, quite frankly, and we'll talk about this a little more on Sunday. But I talked about it when they played last time. Last year, they played, obviously 2 games. Steelers beat them both times, and both scores were 17-10. This one was 18-16 last one. So that's very trending. That's the same score you're getting for 3 games now. So that's I wouldn't be expecting much. And if I could get out of this matchup somehow, I mean, you're not going to bench Lamar. You're not going to bench Derrick Henry. But other than that, I don't know if I'd put anyone in here if I'm going in the playoffs, because this is just not a game that's fantasy worthy, so to speak. Just not something I'd be excited about. All right, let's go to the game of the week. The Giants at the Falcons. Giants against fantasy QBs are 25th. They're 29th against running backs, 11th against receivers, and 3rd against tight ends. Atlanta, 26th against QBs, 11th against running backs, 29th against receivers, and 14th against tight ends. Although I was laughing about it, saying it's game of the week, it might be a better fantasy game than the one we just talked about. But what do you think, Ledoux, guys you like and don't like on the Falcon side?
It's unfortunately so hard to say with Michael Penix in there, but you still got to like Bijan Robinson. And once again, outside of that, I still like Mooney over London. There's something about London that just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't get me excited. I know Mooney hasn't exactly been excited recently either, but I still feel like I'd rather start Mooney in any situation right now for this offense. I know Ray McLeod's there, and obviously Drake London's there. Who gives a fuck about Kyle Pitts? He's not even a factor. Bijan Robinson's your guy to start here. You got to start him. They're using him, and they're going to continue to use him. Other than that, it's a coin flip on all these guys with Michael Penix in there.
Have to agree. Maybe Drake. I don't know. I can't even say it because Michael Penix is. I feel like more of a. He's just more of a dasher. He's not going to be that. That's why I'd be scared about Mooney, because I don't see him as that big play.
I agree with Leduc on that one, because in college he was more of a deep ball thrower. So that's why I actually like Mooney in that one. I've switched out 5 different times now in my DFS lineups, and I finally settled on Mooney because of a little bit of what I saw in college, where I was just like, this guy kind of likes to hit the perimeter and hit the sidelines. Okay. But hey, if they're saying that he's got no chemistry with this guy, I might just be a fucking full bag of lies this Christmas.
and here's the thing, Drake London, very well. I don't have the numbers right in front of me other than his numbers, but just looking at the amount of targets he's received this year, he very well is probably top 5 in the league in targets per game this year. Yet he only has 3 games over 15 points. So he's just not doing much with them. So the targets be there, but Darnell Mooney has outscored him a lot of the times on less targets because he's doing something with the ball.
Right.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. Now, Justin, I think I delivered you a bag of coal here. Give me guys you like and don't like on the Giants side.
I opened up my gifts and I got a IOU. I owe you next time. Yeah, I'll tell you, I like Malik Nabers in this game just because of what he did last week. I mean, I didn't know this, but last week was his 4th game with 10 catches, which is absolutely outstanding for a rookie who's been playing behind absolute garbage the entire season. If anything, he just gets hyper targeted, and he's just going. Was it 3rd? I thought it was 4th. The broadcast said, but anyways, my bad.
Yeah, the broadcast is probably wrong. That's fine, but I count 3 right here in front of me. But either way, you're still not wrong on your point.
Still, it's still kind of impressive considering
it is. That's what I'm saying.
The entire time, you look at that and you go, Jesus Christ, this guy's working hard. But every time I look at this guy, I'm like thinking to myself, this guy, if he gets a good quarterback, is going to absolutely unleash on the league. And so at this point, I think that you can still put him in and put a safe 15 points behind him, and I'll take that every week in a playoff game. Every time. And then as far as, running back goes, Tyrone Tracy is not a bad option considering what the Raiders were doing with Amir Abdullah, Sincere McCormick, and whoever the fuck else they had back there. Well, the Raiders were still in that game, and Tyrone Tracy, I think, is a better runner than anybody on the Raiders right now. So I would still plug him in there. Tommy Cutlets, no. Sorry. And then, as far as Wan'Dale Robinson fell off after about week 9. And, I thought he was going to show a little bit last week, but he still really didn't put out enough to warrant anything DFS or starting lineup worthy material.
I will say, Justin, Neighbors does have 9 games over 10 targets, with 2 of them being over 15 targets, which that's wild. Insane. That's insane. Now, unfortunately, kind of like London, he's only got 4 games over 15 points and and only 2 over 20. So
more the offense point.
It's more the offense, exactly.
All right. Well, before we get on to our next one, Leduc, I think you're up for the questions.
For
this one,
nice.
Needs 2. Ooh. This is Shadows Wicked. Appreciate your question. He needs 2. He's got 1 receiver, 1 flex. MHJ, Thielen, McMillan, Rashad White, Kendry Miller, Jerome Ford, Travis Etienne, Patrick Taylor, and thanks in advance. Thank you, Shadows. Appreciate you. Merry Christmas. What do you think, Leduc? A receiver and a flex.
Yeah, these are some options here. So it's between Ford and Taylor for me in the flex spot. I'm gonna lead Jerome Ford just because, like I said earlier, I just believe he's gonna have a weekend in that matchup. Another AFC North Division matchup where I just think he's gonna have a better day. So Jerome Ford in the flex for me. And then at wide receiver, I don't feel confident about any of the options, but I'm going to have to go with for Harrison Jr. just for the upside. I just think there's just more of a chance. That's really all it is, but I don't love it.
I disagree. I do love it. And against the Carolina Panthers, yeah, bro, I'm with that all day. That's an easy one for me. And then that flex spot, man, Rashad White's falling off. So, you don't know what you're going to get with Kendry Miller. Patrick Taylor, like I mentioned earlier, going against America team. Got a little something.
I could get it. I get it if they go that way.
So I'm good with Jerome Ford and MHJ. I think that's the right call. Justin, disagree, or anybody else you want to throw in there?
I kind of stick with Leduc on the MHJ thing. I literally saw him last week against Christian Gonzalez, and dude looks like he lacks aggression. He's got all the physical tools. He just doesn't have the aggression to make it. To be honest with you, if it was me, I'd probably go with Thielen just because he's been consistently getting targeted. And the Arizona defense is a little shaky. It's shaky enough to let at least 1 or 2 touchdowns to the Carolina Panthers.
I got more faith that the Carolina Panthers D is a lot more shaky. I'll be honest with you. All right, let's get on to the next one. Thank you so much for your question, Shadows. We appreciate you. Detroit City going to Chicago. Detroit against fantasy QBs are 17th, 5th against running backs. They're 27th against receivers and number 1 against tight ends. Chicago, they're number 1 against QBs, 28th against running backs, number 2 against receivers, and 21st against tight ends. Crazy stats from what that team looks like.
Check out
that. Justin, who you like on the Lions?
The IOU has come in. I get the good one.
Like that. Just like that.
So, you're going to want to cash in on Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously getting that full workload. 1,000% on Amon-Ra St. Brown as well. Look, get yourself, obviously, Laporta. Here's a sneaky one for you. Tim Patrick. They've been feeding him these past 2 weeks. Dan Campbell. Tim Patrick is a Dan Campbell guy. He likes some Tim Patrick. Would not be surprised if in some, garbage time situations when they're just absolutely scraping the freaking Bears off their cleats, they throw Tim Patrick a touchdown. And, another one that's kind of weird, I haven't mentioned Goff yet. Goff is definitely a go, is Craig Reynolds. And I only say that because just about every time Craig Reynolds gets in a game, he gets a touchdown.
Or two.
Or two. And we all know that Dan Campbell is one of those guys that just loves to give everybody an option, everybody a chance. He gives his offensive tackles touchdowns. So that's my little DFS caveat right there. If you're really penny pinching, you want to put the heavy hitters in there, throw Craig Reynolds in a flex. Maybe you'll get a touchdown or two for Christmas.
Ooh, I like it. All right, LeDuc, here's your bag of coal. Not really, though. Bears got a little bit of playmakers in there. Guys you like and don't like on their side.
So the main guy I like on this team this week is DJ Moore. I know there was some things about DJ Moore said earlier about him looking, what I forget, we would say disheartened or uninspired.
Uninspired. Absolutely.
So look, I think he looks uninspired because he's not scoring touchdowns, which I understand, but he's still going out there and getting, 7, 8 or more targets in most games. He's also had a rushing attempt in 7 games this year. So he's still the guy that's getting involved. I know his fantasy points have been down the last 2 weeks, but this Detroit defense can be had. There's just so many injuries, and I know the coaching staff has done a fantastic job building that defense up even around those injuries, but they still give up plays. They still give up yards, and DJ Moore is still the electric factor in that wide receiver room. And so I think DJ Moore is in for a day this week. So he's my main guy. Like, other than that, I don't love it all.
I hear you. It's although the Lions defense has definitely fallen off quite a bit since the beginning of the season, obviously with the injury to Aiden Hutchinson. But they just as of late have not been playing very well. So you could very well see some offense from good old Caleb. We'll see. Okay, so let's go. We were just talking about it. The Cardinals at the Panthers. Cardinals against fantasy QBs are 13th, 26th against running backs, 12th against receivers, 7th against tight ends. Carolina, 27th against fantasy QBs, dead last against running backs, 16th against receivers, and 31st against tight ends. So, LeDuc, guys you'd like and don't like on the Cardinals side.
It's James Conner is on fire right now. You have to ride that, especially in this matchup, even on the road in Carolina. Conner is going to eat this week. And quite frankly, I think Murray's going to do perfectly fine this week too. I know he's been very roller coaster this year. And I know he only put up 10 points against New England, who, my Pats, whose defense hasn't been great. But quite frankly, they kept trying to throw the ball to Christian Gonzalez's guy. And I'm sorry, but Christian Gonzalez, as you said, owned Marvin Harrison. So Carolina doesn't really have someone like that. I think the field's going to be a bit more open for Murray this week, similar to how he was against Seattle. So this is going to be the Kyler Murray, James Conner show in my eyes. Like I said, I'm not massively high on Marvin Harrison, but if I was looking for someone like a long shot to get a touchdown, though, I still like Michael Wilson because they get him involved. So like randomly, but also it's been weirdly enough, consistently enough too, to where Michael Wilson could be that guy that if Harrison's just out there, doing his random thing and not looking inspired, I think Wilson could sneak a touchdown in this week.
And gotta like Trey McBride, like 31st.
Well, of course, yeah.
Thank you very much.
I didn't even bother mentioning him because I just feel like he's a must start, a no-brainer. But at some point, he's going to get in the end zone.
I'm with you. I was just commenting. That was all. I wasn't trying to.
You gotta love that Kyler Murray said, "I want to get my boy a touchdown."
I know that is big. When the quarterback says that, that's big.
He's definitely getting maybe 2. I think it's.
They tried with that shovel pass last week, and he just couldn't get through.
Oh my god! Because I have him on my dynasty too. I'm like, come on, you joking right now? Anyway, all right. So Justin, throwing the coal back to you, like guys like and don't like on the Carolina side.
Yeah, Santa loved me so much that he gave me the Carolina Panthers. But for the Panthers side, it's kind of getting discouraging because you hear the news that Jalen Coker is now questionable. Jatavian Sanders has really kind of fallen in a ditch with obviously with Bryce Young. I mean, Bryce Young had this like resurgence leading up to Kansas City, and then he's just like automatically gone right back down to the Panthers need a quarterback. I look at this game as it's going to be, you're going to put Chuba Hubbard in, and you're probably just going to put Adam Thielen in. And you're just probably just going to ride with the hope that Thielen gets targeted 10 times, pulls in 7 for 50 or more, and maybe a touchdown and goes off. And then Chuba, hopefully gets in the end zone himself. But I'm not touching Bryce Young. I'm not touching Jatavian Sanders. I'm not touching Jalen Coker. I'm not going near any of that. And Xavier Legette is out. So
yep.
I think Adam Thielen is right now 5,600 on DraftKings. That's a steal right there.
I was literally about to say that just hammers your Thielen point down. So, yeah, I like that play big time. I might have changed my DFS lineup, actually, now that we're talking. All right, let's go. Rams at the Jets. The Rams against fantasy QBs are 23rd, 15th against running backs. They're 18th against receivers, and they're 23rd against tight ends. On the Jets side, 21st against QBs, 9th against running backs, 5th against receivers, 12th against tight ends. And I do want to mention, I'll mention it again on Sunday, Freddie finally broke the curse this week as he visited Jacksonville. His team finally got a victory. So, Fred, congratulations. And since Justin's the biggest Jet slob knobber on here, well, give me guys you like and don't like, Justin, on the Jet side.
Well, that's a great honor, being amongst a Patriots fan and a Dolphins fan, to be the Jet slob knocker over here.
I thought for sure I was the Jets here.
I'll tell you what. I think you missed something here, Commish. This might be the game of the week because this has a lot of points written all over it. If I were to chalk up something on paper, 2 teams coming in hot. Well, Jets coming in hot off of 1 win, but the Rams coming in off of their Bills, like absolute showdown, and then the 49ers game looking to kind of rebuild off of that. I would think, God damn, I want every piece of this motherfucking game. So for me, it's the Jets. It's real simple. You're starting Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams easily. Breece Hall, throw him in there. The Rams have been not that great against the rush. And, Aaron Rodgers, I said it before, I'm sticking with my move. I took Bo Nix out for Aaron Rodgers because I'm expecting Aaron Rodgers to have that one last enigma game where he just comes out of nowhere, shows you everything he's got. And here's the thing, my little caveat, go get Garrett Wilson instead of Devontae Adams. I think he's going to feed Garrett this week. I think he's going to go after Garrett Wilson, and I think you're going to save $500 towards another big-time player on DraftKings. DraftKings needs to really sponsor us because we're just giving all this information out there. Yeah,
it's the only place I play other than Underdog.
That's it. Maybe it might be conflicting interests. You're right, Leduc. Underdog will fire us, but I really do think that Garrett Wilson at 6,500 is a little bit better value than Devontae Adams at 7,100.
Right.
So if you watched our Sunday show, that was the big discussion I was having that day. Was I had Patrick Mahomes, and I didn't like the Cleveland matchup because there was a lot of weather they were talking about and the wind, and it just got me nervous. So I was like, do I pull the move and pull in Aaron Rodgers? He was sitting there on the waiver wire. And not even thankfully, I did it. I still end up losing, but still Aaron Rodgers outplayed Mahomes like crazy. So
more than double.
Right. So it goes back to that old, do you bribe the guy that got you there? But then also at the same time, if the guy that got you there has been underperforming all season long and you see the good matchup, then hell yeah, let it rip. It's win now or go home. So you're playing for this week. You're not playing for next week. So if you see a better matchup, do it. All right, Leduc, guys you like and don't like on the Ram side.
Similar to the Jets, you just start the studs here. It's Stafford, it's Williams, it's Nakua, and it's Kupp. Look, Kupp getting 0 catches on 0 targets, 0 points across the board last week while being in there healthy. You want to talk about something that's outrageous and not going to be a trend? It's that. If anything, Cooper Kupp's going to get fed this weekend. This week. But like you said, there's going to be points. Even if Kupp gets fed, Puka's going to get his too. This is going to be a show, this game. So Stafford, Williams, Puka, and Kupp. It's simple. I'm not even going to waste more time on it.
Mark it down. Justin's calling this the game of the week. So let's see how it plays out. All right, let's go. Eagles at the Commanders. This is a good one. Eagles against fantasy QBs are 4th, against running backs they're number 2, against receivers they're number 1, and against tight ends they're number 4. Damn. Commanders 15th against QBs, 12th against running backs, 14th against receivers. 15th against receivers, and 15th against tight ends. They are literally right in the middle of the pack. So what do you think, Ledoux? Guys you like and don't like? Let's give you the Commanders this time. Who do you like?
So like I said earlier in the show when answering questions, Terry McLaurin, he's going to continue to be Jaden Daniels' guy because there's really nobody else. I know Zach Ertz has been doing good, so like I'm fine playing him at tight end with the way the tight end position is. And then I'm still starting Brian Robinson. I know the Eagles defense is studly and they're the real deal. But once again, this is a somewhat of a rivalry game. It's a division game. These games do crazy things, and I think Washington is going to keep this. I forget what the spread is. It was something silly, and I know I took the Commanders on the spread. I still think the Eagles win this game, but I'm taking the Commanders on the spread because this game is going to be better than people expect. I don't sleep on the Commanders, so give me Brian Robinson, give me Daniels, and give me McLaurin and Zach Ertz at the tight end position.
All right, I like it. What say you, Justin? Guys you like and don't like on the Eagles side? What happened?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a very simple one. You play all your studs, but I want to say this in particular. Devonta Smith, I like this play because, to be honest with you, over the last, I think it's 5 games, he's averaged somewhere in the ballpark of 9 targets a game against the Commanders. He's also scored 3 touchdowns in that span. He's had a game where he went off for 169 yards, and 3 of his games he's at least gone for 75. So he is looking like a very strong presence in this game, even though he did not have a strong presence in the very first game. Like I said, I look for this to be a really great game as far as everybody just, going off and the defense not really being prevalent. You don't want the Eagles or the Commanders defense in this game. You want your studs. You want your Jalen Hurts. You want your wide receivers, and you want the guys like Saquon Barkley and, like Leduc said, B-Rob, because I think B-Rob's going to be a huge part of this game as well.
When one of the big 3 on the Eagles is out, that's usually, like, especially for Devonta Smith, he always ends up stepping up when Goddard's out. Well, he is out, although Calcaterra, they don't target him as much. But, that's when Devonta Smith really steps up. So, yeah, I love that play this week. By the way, Leduc, according to the Vegas Insiders, who should also be sponsoring us, they got the Eagles only favored by 3.5. You think that's crazy?
Oh no, I thought I saw something crazy like 7 or 8.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe I'm confusing games. I know there was one, and I thought it was this game, but maybe I'm wrong. I know there was one when I was looking at the spread this week and making my picks. I was like, that's outrageous. There's no way I'm taking the underdog here. But maybe I'm thinking of a different game.
I'm looking now. Well, they got the Bills by 14, Packers 14 over the Saints. The one I looked at that I thought might be a little crazy, they got the Falcons 8.5 over the Giants. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be that kind of game.
Yeah, I don't know about that
with Michael Penix at QB, so maybe that was one you're looking at. All right, so Justin, my bad, we already did that one. All right, let's move on. Cleveland at Cincinnati, the Battle of Ohio. 18th against QBs are the Browns. They're 6th against running backs, 24th against receivers, and 26th against tight ends. What happened to that Browns D? Bengals, 30th against QBs, 16th against running backs, 19th at receiver, and dead last against tight ends. Justin, I'm going to give you the Browns this time. Give me guys you like and don't like without Jameis Winston.
Interesting that you note the Browns defense. Supposedly Myles Garrett has said he wants to be a part of the plan because he's probably saying to himself, I'm either part of a good plan or you're getting me the plan. I'll get here, bud, because I'm tired of this bullshit. And I can't blame him because that Browns defense I think it's been good, but God, when you got to play behind the quarterback play they've had to play behind, just geez.
It's about to get worse.
It wasn't even that bad last week. I mean, come on. It's been so much worse. But, I think LeDuc hit it. Jerome Ford is a masterful play this week. It's a great play. 5,600 on DFS, DraftKings. Go get him. He's going to be a nice value. Dorian Thompson-Robinson scares me because I don't really actually know if he's good or not. I know he's a good runner, but
he's a great runner.
Hasn't shown anything else. And that scares me for playing guys like Judy, Cedric Tillman, Elijah Moore, because I figure one of them's going to get fed. One of them.
Mm-hmm.
But who are we going to pick? They pretty much play the same fucking role. They're a glorified slot receiver that you can put on the perimeter. That's what each one of them is. So it's like, for me, I look at it like, and even it scares me from Njoku. I took Njoku out of one of my lineups, and Njoku's been my ride or die this season at tight end for a lot of my leagues. So it's one of those things where I kind of go, I would just start maybe Judy just because he's been the ball dominant guy. But if you got Elijah Moore, if you got Cedric Tillman, I put him on the bench. Even if you got David Njoku, man.
So Njoku's leaning towards doubtful this week as well anyways. He's technically practiced today in a limited fashion, but he's leaning towards doubtful with a hamstring injury, and he hasn't been able to get on the field until today. So
good for him. He should request a trade. Go play for a real team. So that kind of solves it for me there. I would probably just put out Judy just because he's been the ball dominant one. And I would put out Ford because it's the Bengals defense. The Bengals have so many holes in them, man. Dude, there's going to be options there. I don't want to choose Elijah Moore or Cedric Tillman. That's my prerogative.
If Njoku came in as a healthy Njoku this week, I would be salivating over this, even with DTR, just because the Bengals have been giving it up to every tight end in the league. So I would still be okay with this, but because of his injury, now he's saying doubtful. But even if he was able to get in, we talked about hamstring injuries 1,000 times, just not a good thing. Exactly. So, it's just one of those things you got to be very wary of. But yeah, that would be my guy actually in there. But now I'm like, nothing that I really like at all. All right, so LeDuc, guys you like and don't like on the Bengals side.
So Joe Burrow's pissed off. I said, I'm sure everyone at this point has seen him on the sideline this past weekend. He's really mad at the state of this team. And look, he's trying to do everything he can. So I think this is the week where he's going to see that the Browns are putting forward their D team basically. And he's going to try to eat. So Jamar Chase is going to continue to eat. Chase Brown's going to continue to eat. And Joe Burrow is going to go off. And Chase Brown's going to continue his push for league winner of the season because that's what he's been this entire year. I've been pushing it this whole time. I know other guys have come on later. Chase Brown has been here for the majority of the season, and he was someone who was drafted very, very late. He's going to win you a league this year, and it's going to continue this week.
Yep, I like it. I like everything on the Bengals side for sure this week. All right, let's go. Tennessee Titans at the Colts. Titans against fantasy QBs are 22nd, 17th against running backs, 6th against receivers, and 9th against tight ends. Colts are 20th against QBs, 27th against running backs, 10th against receivers, and 30th against tight ends. This goes back on the whole Spears thing. If there's no Pollard, it's a good matchup with the Colts. So I understood. Well, that's why I was saying I understood the question earlier. Justin, guys you like and don't like on the Colts side.
Colts side is really easy. I like Anthony Richardson Jr. this week. I like Jonathan Taylor. Really am pushing for Michael Pittman. Guys, $5,000 on DraftKings right now. Great buy. And Josh Downs as well. No Alec Pierce this week. So I think that they get back to using Josh Downs efficiently in this game. I think it's a show for the Colts. I think this game, there's just like a little show out. This is what our offense can look like. The Titans, they've been an enigma all year long. They show up when they want to show up. Their defense is okay, but still puts up huge numbers. It's every single time you say their defensive numbers, I go, what? Did you see the last game? They got blitzed. What are you talking about? They got destroyed. But, I think this is just going to be a showcase for the Colts. I think they go out there and they put it on the Titans pretty easily.
True definition of a paper tiger is the Titans defense. All right, LeDuc, guys you like and don't like on the Titans side. And I think this is a Mason Rudolph start now.
Yes.
It is. And my answer to your first question is no. No. Simply no. Look, so I kind of disagree with you as far as it being a showcase for the Colts, because I'm actually totally fine with playing either one of these defenses this week. I think that's where all the value is. I think this game is going to be an ugly game where I think both defenses can easily score you 10 points. So defense.
Start your defense. I'm gonna go out there and say I like Tajay Spears as a definite flex option this week. I'm gonna go
fair. Pollard's gonna be out.
Yeah,
here's the thing. Pollard didn't practice at all this week, which would typically lead you to be out. Reports are saying that he's still expected to play through his ankle injury, but it's good luck.
I mean, they're giving this over under 42.5, which isn't great, but it's not that horrible, because I mean I'm looking at the Raiders and Jags. They're a 40.5. So I mean, we'll see. I don't know.
Kickers and defenses, baby. That's what this game is. Kickers and defenses.
Kickers and defenses. All right, let's go. Vikings at the Seahawks. Vikings against fantasy QBs are 6th. They're 3rd against running backs. They are still dead last against receivers and 13th against tight ends. Seahawks 16th against QBs, 22nd against running backs, 17th against receivers, and 19th against tight ends. LeDuc, guys you like and don't like on the Minnesota Vikings.
Aaron Jones, he's in my DFS lineup this week. Sneak peek to Sunday. Aaron Jones should have himself a day. Look, Justin Jefferson's going to do his thing. Jordan Addison is also going to be involved in this, because I think the Vikings get kind of back. It's weird to say get back on track, but I do think they get back on track this week. Seattle is ready to be got. So give me Aaron Jones, give me Jefferson, give me Addison. I'm still unsure on TJ Hawkinson. He's just not the Hawk that we saw in Detroit. They just don't seem to utilize him the way that he really should be utilized. The targets are somewhat there, but not enough for me to say you got to start Hawkinson. I think there's enough tight end options to where Hawkinson's in the conversation, but he's not a must start. The other guys, Jefferson, Jones, Darnold, must starts. Addison's probably a flex.
I can sum up that synopsis when basically all I could hear you say was Mr. Jones. I mean, that was basically I heard Jones about 20 times there.
I think he's going to go off this week.
Please, this is going to be it's a great matchup, so I totally agree. All right, Justin, I really threw you a bag here for the Seahawks. Give me guys you like and don't like.
So the good part is Geno's supposed to play, so there should be really good options receiving wise. JSN, say his name, and he shall appear with 17 points. I really like JSN in this game. I think they're going to be down pretty fast in this game and trying to get themselves out of the hole. I think that's kind of a bad thing for Walker's return. And also Charbonnet being good over the past couple of weeks is going to be bad for Walker's return as well. I would not put Walker at the front of my list, even though I know he has gotten you to these points, but it just doesn't seem like the greatest matchup for them. And then, DK Metcalf, man, he's kind of soured. He's really soured real quick. I'm very happy to say I would probably, if you have a Scary Terry, if you have even a Drake London, I would probably put them in over DK Metcalf in this game.
Yep.
And then, at that point, they don't even have a tight end, right? Noah Fant.
Yeah, but
come on. Noah Fant. But yeah,
scored double digits once this year.
I think he's only scored double digits a handful of time in his career.
They're all with the Broncos too.
Yeah, what a trade.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. I think that you should be good with JSN. If you have to start Geno, because there's going to be chances for them to score through the air, and there's going to be chances for him to get 300 yards, even if he gets 2 interceptions. in this game.
Oh.
But I really do think that this is going to be one of those games where the Vikings kind of get it over kind of quickly. It's weird to say, but Seahawks really did not look good when Geno went down last week, and Geno's nursing a knee injury. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like he's gonna be mobile. Seems they're gonna get to him quicker. I don't like it.
I'm gonna be the outlier and say I do think Geno's gonna have a decent day. This secondary for the Vikings can be got. And you might see a little DK. I actually like DK this week, so I'm gonna be the outlier on this one. I'm good with the Seahawks side. I think this would be a pretty decent game. All right, let's go to one that will not be a decent game. The Patriots against the Buffalo Bills. Patriots against fantasy QBs are 19th, 22nd against running backs, 20th against receivers, 20th against tight ends. Buffalo Bills, 9th against QBs. Still 31st against running backs, 22nd against receivers, and 11th against tight ends. So guys you like and don't like, Justin, on the Bills side.
Book it, everybody. Everybody's going to score. I guarantee you. Everybody that you have that's going to be in a lineup is going to score. I'm talking your James Cook. I'm talking your Dalton. Okay. I'm talking your Keon goddamn Coleman. Talk about somebody who's in my DFS lineup. Let's go with some Keon Coleman. I think he's going to have himself an okay day. He had one catch for 64 yards last week. You don't think they're going to try and feed this man a touchdown to get him ready for the playoffs? You damn straight they're going to do that. And yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, LeDuc, but I feel like this either has your best game of the year for Drake May in a shootout, or this has Josh Allen just running his you-know-what over the Patriots' face.
Yeah. Yep. So with that segue, LeDuc guys on the Patriots.
So here's the thing. Drake May is still going to put fantasy points up for you. That's the thing. The Patriots will get smoked. But Drake May will still get you probably at least 15 fantasy points. So he's a second QB. He's a super flex start. And I'm fine doing that. He's on my home league team, which I did get bounced last week in the first round of playoffs. Thank you, Tua. Fuck you. But Drake May was in my superflex spot, and he would have been in my superflex spot again this week, even with the game that they're going to get smoked in. Other than that, Hunter Henry's your best bet. Everyone else sucks. If you want to look for a DFS long start, Antonio Gibson is your guy right there, because he's been much more electric looking than Ramondre Stevenson. Stevenson looks, whether he's done for his career or done for the season, Stevenson just looks not good anymore. Antonio Gibson just looks so much more electric. So yeah, May and Hunter Henry, and then if you are desperate or playing DFS, Antonio Gibson.
Stevenson's been hanging out with Tyreek Hill down here in Miami. Apparently, they're just like, bumping. We're done, bro. Let's just hang out the deep. We're done with this mess. But I do like Antonio Gibson. I like either one. I mean, the Bills' front seven is. I mean, it's just been got all freaking season long. So I'm good with any one of those running backs, quite frankly, this week. All right, let's go Jaguars against the Raiders. Against fantasy QBs, the Jags are dead last. They're 30th against running backs, 30th against receivers, or 24th against tight ends. On the Raider side, they're 24th against QBs, 20th against running backs, 9th against receivers, and 28th against tight ends. I mean, this is a toss-up, really. I'm not really hitting you guys up either way on this. So, LeDuc, give me guys you like and don't like on the Raiders side.
Oh, I was queued up for the Jaguars. That's okay. Let me go to the Raiders.
It's a top. You can take the Jags. I don't think Justin minds.
Yeah, go for the Jags.
Okay, fine, good. Because I'm looking at the depth charts here, and I'm just amazed that Mac Jones is the only active quarterback for the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars right now.
The only active quarterback?
Yeah, it's baffling me right now. Like, I'm sure they'll activate somebody for Sunday, but as according to the depth chart right now, it's
a lot of
Mac
faith
Jones
in
party.
Mac Jones.
That's why they're the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because this is really, I don't care how many times he throws a touchdown to Brian Thomas Jr. and how many yards, and Brian Thomas Jr. is going to eat and do his thing. So you start Brian Thomas Jr. Mac Jones should not be anywhere near your lineup because he's also going to turn the ball over 3 or 4 times. And outside of that, I don't love the running backs. That's the bottom line. This is really a Brian Thomas Jr. and Bretton Strange kind of thing for me. So that's it.
Kind of gross all the way around. So, Justin, guys you like and don't like on the Raiders.
Yeah, I'll tell you 3 guys that are okay. Actually, I'll tell you 2 guys that are okay, and one's a must start. Brock Bowers is a must start because Aiden O'Connell is in there. Yeah,
Right.
Aiden O'Connell fed Brock Bowers. He said, "Brock Bowers here. You're the only guy out there that's catching the ball."
Yeah.
And then I'll say Jacoby Myers is another guy just because the secondary is just whatever for that team. And then last guy is Amir Abdullah because always believe in Amir Abdullah when he's on the Raiders and he's leading the backfield. So he will score. He will score.
Madison might get a few touches in there too.
It's supposed to be a full goal this week. So
yeah, so he might be a guy to look out for DFS wise. But other than that, I don't know. All right, let's get to the game of the week. The 49ers against America's team, the Miami Dolphins. A game with so much promise before the season started. Now it's nothing. All right, so against fantasy QBs, the 49ers are 8th. They're 21st against running backs, 4th against receivers, or 2nd against tight ends. America's team, the Miami Dolphins, they're 2nd against QBs, 18th against running backs, 3rd against receivers, and they're 17th against tight ends. LeDuc, give me guys you like and don't like on America's team.
It's A. Shane. It's Devon A. Shane. And because of the injuries and because of the situation, if you want to start Malik Washington, I totally get it in your flex spot. But it's A. Shane is going to have a big day, I think. And Jonnu Smith is still a tight end that I think you have to start if you have him. He's just been too hot when he's on to sit. So Jonnu Smith, A. Shane, and fuck Tua. I will never forgive him for less than a point in round 1 of the fucking playoffs. I will never forgive him for that. I have to chug a beer on camera to my boys because of fucking Tua. That's our league rule. If you have a guy on your team, or even the defense included, score less than 1 point, you gotta chug.
I mean, that was just god awful. Yeah, no. All right, anyway, guys you like and don't like, Justin, on your Niners.
I want to throw this point out there. Malik Washington, $3,700 on DraftKings, looking a lot sexier now that Tyreek Hill wants to go spend more time impregnating women instead of playing football.
The man loves child support.
But on the 49ers side, I keep it simple. George Kittle's an excellent play in this game. Tight end has been something that the Dolphins have been getting got by all season long, and he is the best tight end in the game.
Decades long. Just want to bring it back.
all day. And then as far as their running back situation is, I would not touch it. I'm just being straight up with you because you could say Patrick Taylor and then Izzy Abinakanda gets in there and fucking goes for a 90-yard run, and guess what? Patrick Taylor's nothing anymore. That's all they're looking for is they're looking for that one-cut runner, and Izzy kind of fits that more than Patrick Taylor does. So I wouldn't touch it. And then on the wide receiver side, Deebo Samuel, 1,000%. Stop starting him. Stop it. If you've gotten this far, you talk about starting this far with Tyreek Hill. If you've gotten this far with Deebo Samuel, you're a great drafter. You should be having your own podcast because you're a great drafter. And then real long shot, Brock Purdy has a 3-touchdown day.
There was a stat, and I apologize because I don't remember the full stat, but I heard it, that Brock Purdy, his record is crazy after a bad loss. So that's why I'm more inclined to sadly agree. I think this is not going to be a good game. The only thing I'm going to disagree with, and I'm just going to mark this down now, you can put it in the reels and call it what you want to, but Sunday will be a get-right game for Deebo Samuel. Just mark that down right now because I told you guys the last freaking time we played the Jets, I said mark it down. Devontae Adams has a good game because just like Miami is so, I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. Decades long, they can't stop running tight ends, and they cannot stop big receivers. I don't know what the issue is. When there's a big guy at the receiver, we can't stop it ever. So that is my call for the week. Deebo Samuel has a get-right game this week.
Deebo's a washing machine now. He's so washed.
I raise you, Jawan Jennings, 6'3". That dude's gonna kill it.
I'll agree.
I'll slide in a George Kittle over this time. All right, let's get on because that game's probably going to depress me. Bucks at the Cowboys. This is what they chose for Sunday night. I thought was kind of weird. Bucks against fantasy QBs are 31st. They're 14th against running backs, 26th against receivers, 27th against tight ends. Cowboys 29th against QBs, 25th against running backs, 23rd against receivers, and they're 8th against tight ends. So, Ledoux, give me guys you like and don't like on the Bucks.
So they chose this game because, of course, it's Jerry's world, and he's got to get his certain amount of primetime games in. So that's why they chose this game. But also, honestly, could actually be a decent game because the Bucks have been good for fantasy and kind of underperforming as a team this year. I know what's their record. They're 8-6, so I guess that's about where they were expected, but it feels like they should have won more games. Bucky Irvin, great start with him being healthy. And then Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. So K. Dotton has fallen off. I can't sit here and comfortably tell you to start K. Dotton.
He's also doubtful.
Is he even doubtful now? So even more so. I didn't even know that. He's so off my radar now. I didn't even realize that. You're right. He has a knee injury and he didn't practice today. So yeah, he's probably not playing. So it's Mayfield, Irving, and Evans. Like, don't overthink this one. Those are the guys that are getting it done consistently for the Bucks. The Cowboys defense has been playing a lot better recently, and they're putting up fantasy points. So like, I'm not going to expect the world out of these three guys, but I think they're going to be good enough to be part of your winning playoff roster this week.
Yeah, I think you might see some offense on both sides, and possibly why they threw that out on Sunday night. Baker Mayfield, not for nothing, has earned a ton of respect for me this year. Just really, even when Mike Evans was out, I just watching him just willing this team back in a football game. So a lot of respect for Mr.
He reminds me of Stafford when he was on the Lions, like that. Remember that year where he had his shoulder dislocated and he still went in there for the 2-point conversion to like win the game or tie the game, whatever. Like that's what he reminds me of this year.
He is doing it and doing it well. All right, Justin, give me guys you like and don't like on the Cowboys.
It truly is a wonder what happens when you leave the Browns organization. It just kind of revitalizes some people.
You stop making awesome commercials. That's what.
Yeah. Who wants to insure Brown Stadium anyway? But on the Cowboys, I think this could actually be a really entertaining game. The Bucs defense they've been gritty, but they're still not really that good. So I can see Cooper Rush throwing a couple tutties. I can see, Rico Dowdle getting in the end zone. If I were to put a solid stamp of approval on two players, it'd be Rico Dowdle and it'd be CeeDee Lamb. I think that both those guys have a really good chance to have a good game this week. Jake Ferguson is still kind of working his way back into being an elite tight end if he ever was one, but I don't know if it's going to be this week. And then as far as their second wide receivers, Brandon Cooks is such a long shot, and Jalen Tolbert, I don't think they're going to have any garbage time to get him a touchdown. So I think I just stick with Dowdle, and I'll go with CD as well.
All righty, we'll see. Hopefully we get some offense on Sunday night. Let's move to Monday night, where the Saints visit the Packers. The Saints against fantasy QBs are 11th, 23rd against running backs. They're 28th against receivers, 10th against tight ends. Packers are 5th against QBs, 19th against running backs, 8th against receivers, and 25th against tight ends. So, Justin, we'll go to you on this one. Give me guys you like and don't like on the Packers.
Like me some Jordan Love in this game. I think this is a game you've been waiting for Jordan Love. If you got him, play him. I think he's going to go off in this game. That being said, whose receiver is going to go off with? If I were to put it on anybody, I would probably say it'd be Romeo Doubs. He seems to be really, connecting with Romeo Doubs a little bit stronger. I think Christian Watson has a good chance to have a good game, but he's a little bit shakier for me, and a little less certain with him. Jaden Reed he's been one of the weirdest guys to fall off in the playoffs, man. I thought this guy was going to be the elite guy to kind of be like the Lad McConkey, really just take it up the middle and just freaking make extra out of nothing, But he's really kind of gone asleep for some reason, but I'm gonna keep him out of my lineup because I don't trust it. Like LeDuc said, I don't trust Tucker Kraft because it's too crowded out there too. And then Josh Jacobs, I will admit it. This was a guy that I called out on Halloween. He ghosted me. He has totally redeemed himself these past couple of weeks and has absolutely turned himself into a league winner. The guy that I thought he was going to be. Congratulations, Josh Jacobs. You have earned your Jesus halo, and you are fully redeemed from being ghosted.
Yo, I didn't know you. I don't remember that. You ghosted Josh Jacobs. You got ghosted with Josh Jacobs. I can't believe I didn't call you out for that. That's crazy. All right, LeDuc. This will wrap things up real quick. Give me guys you like and don't like on the Saints side.
Yeah, so you're gonna want to start the Packers defense this week, because it's that simple. No, it's really that fucking simple. The Packers defense is legit. The Packers defense is legit. This game is at Lambeau. It's that simple. The Packers defense is an easy 12 points for you. Minimum.
Well, if you've been watching TSS, we've talked about the Packers a couple weeks ago as a defense to pick up for this playoff run because of these matchups. I didn't think it was going to be this good against the Saints the way it played out. But man, you are running into a nice defensive week this week, having this defense, especially on a Monday night too. So if you need those points, you sure the hell might get them on
if you're
Monday
playing
night.
Showdown, put that defense in your captain spot and then buy all the players.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, if you are still with us tonight, thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to all of you. But before we close the show tonight, we got a very special sophistication station for the holiday season. Let's check it out.
Merry Christmas! Sophistication Station here, bringing you all the holly jolly fucks that you can take. Classy starts for this week as we head into round 2 of the fantasy playoffs for most people this year. League has some crazy rules. Let's start with the obvious choice here, but it just needs to be said. Josh Allen is just on a different planet right now. He is killing it. He's making his MVP case. You gotta start him, obviously. But if you're playing DFS or other fantasy formats, bet everything Josh Allen's gonna crush the Patriots this week. Can't stop the run. Can't stop QBs from running. Josh Allen to the moon this week. Speaking of running, Jerome Ford is going to take that place over for Nick Chubb, who's going to be out. Jerome Ford stepped up big last week. He was always going to be a talent for this team, but Nick Chubb coming back kind of put that down for him. So Jerome Ford also to the moon on a ride on Santa's sleigh. And then last but not least, DJ Moore against the Detroit defense. Look, that defense has been standing tough even with all the injuries, so credit to the defensive coordinator over there. But they're still giving up plays. They're still giving up points. DJ Moore should be a PPR machine for you this week for the Chicago Bears. That's going to do it here. See you in the new year, and Merry Christmas.
Christmas is still Christmas.
Oh, Christmas isn't just a day. It's a frame of mind.
It is a frame
of mind. Frame of mind indeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Don't forget on Sunday, of course, wake up with us, TSS Fantasy. I forgot the right thing for this because I have a whole Christmas thing and I totally forgot. But it doesn't matter. You're still gonna wake up with us. We got a nice Christmas wake up special going for you. Everything Christmas themed, of course. So gonna love it. We're gonna give you some great picks, some great lineup advice, some DFS lineups, and also some betting odds as well, so you can get some Christmas dough for the holiday season. All right, well, we appreciate you. From us to you, we are out. And happy holidays.